Infinity War, but I suspect Mr. Claw wasn't in that.
Great to have your company. See you next time on The Chase Australia.
The NRL season to restart, the strongest indication yet we may be beating the virus. Tonight, kick-off May 28th. The NRL becomes the first sporting code to order play to resume as the latest infection numbers show the spread is slowing. Hypocrisy from a senior minister caught out at a holiday home during the lockdown, the police now involved. Police in protective gear board the Ruby Princess to start their investigation into so many COVID deaths. A vile attack in a supermarket, authorities raise the fines to stop the crime against frontline workers. Changes to insurance during the crisis, big household savings if you're stuck at home. Breaking news from Goulburn Jail, tear gas in the riot squad as inmates try to break out. And the Easter letter that put a big smile on this young boy's face.
Live from our Sydney headquarters, this is 7 News with Mark Ferguson.
Good evening. Rugby League is back. The NRL announcing the season will kick off again on May the 28th. It's the first major sporting code to break ranks and return to competition despite the ongoing threat of the pandemic.
The game's power brokers met at NRL headquarters trying to nut out a plan to get the game back up and running. After a 4-hour meeting, a date was set for a resumption.
On behalf of the ARL Commission, I'm pleased to announce that we're planning a competition start on May 28th.
The New South Wales government's done a fantastic job. So, hopefully by the 28th of May, which is 7 weeks away, that rate will be substantially less.
Aside from kick-off on Thursday, May 28, there's uncertainty about the structure of the competition. Options include 13 more rounds for a 15-game regular season, a grand final in late October and an Origin series mid-season. Broadcasters are pushing for a 22-round season that would see the competition stretch into November.
We're leaning towards a competition structure that looks more aligned with what we've currently got.
But the Players Association was reluctant to house players in an isolation bubble scenario.
That the government regulations won't require that, but again the players are understanding the fact that there will be some tighter restrictions on them.
But there are major stakeholders fuming at the way the NRL has handled discussions relating to the competition's resumption. Claims of financial mismanagement here at head office. A broadcast partner accusing the NRL of squandering millions of dollars on a bloated head office. Project Apollo has liftoff for now.
And let's go to Michelle Bishop now. And Michelle, as you mentioned, the NRL is under fire from a number of stakeholders.
Good evening, Mark. The drums are beating louder than ever before for change at the top. Todd Greenberg, the CEO, his position is now viewed by many stakeholders in the game as untenable. There's been widespread criticism right across the game for its dire financial position. The clock is ticking very fast on Todd Greenberg's future as we approach the resumption of the competition, which we all know now is Thursday, May 28. Bring on the footy. Mark.
Yeah, let's hope we can get there, Michelle. Thank you. After the Premier ordered everyone into a corona lockdown with warnings not to travel, one of her own ministers has been busted at a holiday house 100 kilometres from home. Don Harwin is now in hiding back in Sydney, with the Police Commissioner sending in his officers as the Premier ruled out sacking her factional ally.
Police arrive at Don Harwin's apartment building in Elizabeth Bay, where he's holed up inside.
Was it to interview someone? Are you able to confirm that?
The minister unwilling to show his face after being exposed last night, staying at his holiday home on the Central Coast.
That's certainly not up here on a holiday.
Minister Harwin claims he relocated for health reasons, preferring the fresh air of the coast to the inner city.
The second holiday home is not a place to go and spread this disease.
I don't believe I'm putting anyone at risk.
But he has now returned to Sydney and said sorry in a statement. While I was assured I was compliant with the guidelines, I apologise to the Premier and the people of New South Wales. Gladys Berejiklian says she was only told of the arrangements on Tuesday.
You've hidden him for 2 days.
Well, no, that's not the case at all.
You're only taking action now that it's been made public. Why didn't you force him to come back 2 days ago, immediately?
Well, based on what he told me, strictly he hadn't breached the rules.
The minister relocated from this apartment to his house in Pearl Beach 4 weeks ago. That was before the Deputy Premier ordered Sydney-siders on March the 31st not to travel to regional New South Wales. Even still, he's furious.
I'm bloody angry. He should feel the full brunt of the law and be fined for what he has done.
He did have at least one visitor despite denying it, former Liberal candidate Geoffrey Winters, who flew in from London 3 weeks ago.
I have no guests coming and going from this house.
And he says he's been living at the $1.3 million house the whole time.
That's exactly right, except for once when I had to go to Sydney for a medical consultation.
That was after the police commissioner ordered people in holiday homes to remain there.
I can only promise you that if his excuse doesn't cut the mustard, he'll get a $1,000 fine.
The Minister's office has now revealed a second trip to Sydney between the 19th and 24th of March for Parliament, meetings, also shopping, seen here at Westfield and East Gardens on March 22.
All non-essential travel is non-essential.
And I'm not travelling, I'm here.
The Premier should sack him, and if she doesn't do that, then he should resign.
Scotland's Chief Health Officer resigned after staying at her holiday house. New Zealand's Health Minister reprimanded for breaching rules too. But the Premier is standing by one of her most important factional allies, Don Harwin, joining a growing list of ministers under police or corruption investigation and under fire.
Will you sack him?
That's not my intent, no.
Let's go live to Alex Hart in Elizabeth Bay tonight. Alex, you have breaking news on the police investigation into Don Harwin.
Yes, Mark, the Minister has escaped a fine for now, but he is not in the clear just yet. Officers left his apartment late this afternoon, still wanting to conduct further inquiries, including, it's my understanding, speaking in more detail to that man who was seen with the Minister at his house on the Central Coast. Regardless of the outcome of the police investigation, the Premier and her supporters are adamant the Minister will not be sacked and that no action will be taken against him. They believe this is all being led by his factional enemies, an internal attack to damage, even possibly bring down one of their own ministers, and the Premier is determined not to let them win. Mark.
OK, Alex Hart at Elizabeth Bay. Thank you. New data shows we are continuing to gain the upper hand on coronavirus, with just 39 new cases confirmed in New South Wales today from almost 4,000 tests. It comes as detectives used face masks and gowns to board the Ruby Princess, gathering evidence as part of a criminal investigation.
It's unlike any assignment these officers have had before, dressed Chernobyl style to enter virus ground zero on board the Ruby Princess.
They were comfortable going on. I was never going to force one of my officers to go on the ship, obviously.
The officers from Task Force Bast boarded at 7 last night. The vessel in lockdown, its corridors empty, searching for evidence. They've already seized the ship's black box, the bright orange voyage data recorder like this one, also interviewing crew members and the captain, all cooperative.
And what we've achieved in a week would normally take 3 months.
Despite reports up to 250 of the 1,000 crew being infected, tests show it's actually just 9 so far. But all of them soon to receive boxed up Easter care packages for support.
Over $70,000 worth of donated goods from businesses.
Not just ships causing concern, but aircraft too. This flight, the first in from the coronavirus epicentre, Wuhan, China. On board, 90 tonnes of medical equipment. With Wuhan's lockdown lifted, cargo planes are now travelling again, this one to Melbourne today.
We have very strong medical advice that the virus doesn't live on static materials, certainly not for the life of a flight.
Also today, police statewide on the pre-Easter rollout.
Where are you going, sir?
Home. Targeting travellers, anyone suspected of attempting a holiday dash.
Be clear that we will reach a point where the warnings will be over.
Authorities also revealing the state's new hotspot, Gosford Hospital. 12 positive cases, including 2 patients and 6 staff. But the data shows the tough measures are working. Only 39 new cases overnight.
And that is our lowest count since March 16.
And with school holidays officially starting today and parents battling to fill the long days.
It's all new to all of us, and I think we need to work together as a team.
Those positive numbers are offering hope that class could be resumed sooner than thought.
There are some options we're considering, but again, it will be based on health advice.
A chance that next term won't be an all-uphill battle.
And Chris Reason joins me now. Chris, it's shaping up as an Easter like no other.
Mark, good evening to you. We've just spoken to the Traffic Management Centre and they say that traffic volumes are significantly lower. This is an Easter like we've never seen before. They're telling us that the Princes, the Pacific Highway, the Hume and the M1 are all running remarkably free and clear right now. No queues, no tailbacks. One problem on the M5 at Casula, a traffic crash there, but that's about to be cleared away. All of it means, of course, the police have more time to focus on the lockdown laws, telling us that they've now issued more than 150 of those $1,000 fines. Among the latest, a 58-year-old man from Newtown, Mark. He was fined on Tuesday and again on Wednesday, the first to be fined on consecutive days. Mark.
OK, Chris Reason, thank you. The National Cabinet has agreed to review social restrictions on a regular basis as planning for the medium to long term begins. But the federal government also warns now's not the time to ease restrictions, with the Easter weekend shaping up to be the most important few days in the fight against COVID-19.
The Prime Minister's Easter message: don't turn these holy days into holidays.
So this Easter we are staying at home. Don't travel. Don't go away.
And don't engage in the traditional rituals like the extended family gatherings.
As well as going off to church and our religious services, where we can remember the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
And for the health of the nation.
This in many ways is the most important weekend we may face in the whole course of the virus.
Hoping to lock in the gains. Today's daily increase in cases just 96, below 100 for the first time in 3 weeks. The curve flattening. And if it continues,
that gives us the chance to take steps out earlier.
What sort of steps and how much earlier?
We haven't changed our guidance over the 6-month period, but where we can, take early steps that are safe. Where early steps that are safe, then we'll obviously look to do that.
It's something that was discussed at today's National Cabinet meeting, but no state leader wants to be the first to move, fearing that easing restrictions too early will have political and human consequences.
Look, I'm not in the slightest bit interested in talking about lifting restrictions in South Australia.
As the federal government signs a $31 million deal with Victoria's Grey Innovation to manufacture 2,000 ventilators here for ICUs.
Available in the coming weeks for distribution right across Australia.
Taking ventilator numbers to about 7,000 by July. Good news at a testing time.
I do wish you a happy Easter, Australia.
Mark Riley, 7 News.
Fed up with attacks on police and health workers, the state government has announced hefty on-the-spot fines for anyone who resorts to spitting. They're also reviewing what can be done about similar cases involving retail workers following a vile attack on the state's south coast.
Eye gouged, scratched and spat on, Sharon Herringe has served customers for 15 years, but she's never been treated like this. A woman spits in her face after being refused entry.
I just don't have words. I keep going back to what happened and thinking, why would you do something like that? It's wrong.
It happened at Coles on the south coast yesterday. Gabriella Sullivan is accused of assaulting the customer service manager. She'd allegedly tried to enter through an exit set up for social distancing. Sharon says Sullivan abused her workers, so she told her to leave. When she was spat on, she fought back, leaving both women injured.
Just shouted, I guess. Not expecting that kind of thing, just going to work and, helping people get food on the table, and the violence.
It's the latest example of supermarkets becoming battlegrounds.
I think it's damn disgusting. Really do.
It's a disgrace. So I just can't believe that with everything going on, people are coughing and spitting on people.
Ultimately, it's supermarket workers who've been tasked almost overnight with enforcing these new social distancing rules. It's a job they didn't sign up for, and authorities say they're toughening up penalties for anyone who abuses or attacks them. New protections too for emergency workers, $5,000 on-the-spot fines for anyone spitting at frontline health workers, police or Border Force officers.
It's just a dog act. When they're exposed to this virus, so are their families, and I'm just not going to put up with it.
I hope the court throws the book at these people, I truly do.
We're doing our best. We're just like everyone's mums, dads, sisters, brothers, sons and daughters. We're just, we could be you.
Andrew Denny, 7 News.
Prisoners at Goulburn jail have staged a riot apparently over restrictions imposed because of the risk from the virus. Tim Lester is there. Tim, what are they doing, and do you know more about why?
Well, Mark, this is, it seems, a prison riot stirred by the measures to prevent the spread of coronavirus. We know that at roughly 2:30, a riot occurred here, apparently involving about 30 prisoners. Some, we're told, were on the roof of the correctional facility here in Goulburn. Riot police, we know, moved in. Apparently tear gas was used to quell the riot, and there are also reports of a fire inside. Now, tonight we've seen an ambulance go in. There is a police base here, and as yet we have no official word on what's happened to quell the riot inside. We do know that social distancing rules here at the Goulburn facility were pretty reasonably relaxed up until March 20th, when National Cabinet imposed a no visitors rule on all prisons around the country to stop the spread of COVID-19 through high-density prison populations. Apparently, the protest is against those social measures, police moving in to quell it, and will probably make a statement sometime later tonight as to how it has ended. Mark?
OK, Tim Lester at Goulburn for us. Thank you. Now that the federal government's JobKeeper package has passed into law, many bosses and workers are wondering who qualifies and where's the money. There's a lot of it, $130 billion, but it won't start flowing until early next month.
The fight against COVID-19 may one day produce bestsellers. Until then, bookshop owner David Gaunt hopes he can survive.
We, like a lot of other small businesses, will be in huge trouble because we've got no income.
It's a closed store, now using online sales and book deliveries, including by bicycle. Some still at work, but most staff are home, sweating on the JobKeeper subsidy.
Businesses will be able to stay open, which means that workers like myself are going to be able to come back to a job at the end of this.
JobKeeper will pay $1,500 a fortnight for 6 months to an estimated 6 million workers.
It is so fast evolving. I think the approach taken has been that they've had to really jump off the cliff and build the aeroplane on the way down.
Leaving confusion over the rules, particularly for casual workers. Businesses like D'Espagna employing foreign students on working visas.
We do have some staff that have been here for more than 12 months. However, because of their visa, they don't qualify for the JobKeeper.
But what's in the fine print for JobKeeper that has small business concerned? In particular, when do the payments start and can they hold on that long? Not till next month at the earliest. Then it's how long will the virus last?
6 months will do us in for sure.
Chris Meyer, 7 News.
Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson is said to be feeling a lot better tonight, sitting up in bed and improving, but still in intensive care. He won't attend a special lockdown summit that will decide how long restrictions on movement will remain in place across the UK.
Above an empty Piccadilly Circus, they're showing the Queen's message of hope as her Prime Minister remains in intensive care. Boris Johnson nearly a fortnight into his fight with COVID-19, a fight his colleagues believe he's winning.
He has been sitting up in bed and engaging positively with the clinical team.
Surviving coronavirus is seen as an achievement worth celebrating. Hilton Murray Phillipson spent 12 days in hospital, 5 days in intensive care on a ventilator.
After sort of 4 days of this, you do begin to doubt whether you can go on, how much longer you can take it.
So many in the UK are not surviving. 938 people died from the virus in the UK in the last 24 hours. The deadliest day so far, even worse than Italy at its peak. While Boris Johnson remains in hospital here, the job of government continues just across the River Thames, and key calls are coming up. Is the lockdown strategy working here, and when will it be lifted? From the World Health Organization,
now is not the time to relax measures.
The Royals are trying to show the UK that work needs to change. Shifting duties online, calling children of frontline workers who are still at school.
What have you been doing? Oh wow, look at that.
Look at your flowers, they're brilliant.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Is that a little handbag?
No.
What's that?
Easter bag.
Oh, it's an Easter bag.
Smiles and the certainty of the Royals in an ever-changing world. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
There is guarded hope in the United States tonight, with new modelling showing the country's death toll will be lower than forecast. But the numbers are still very confronting. The state of New York alone now has more confirmed cases than any country outside of America. New York City nearing 800 deaths in its darkest 24 hours yet. A horrifying reminder that this crisis has a long way to go.
Abandoned, now evacuated. Elderly residents escorted from their California nursing home after the staff paid to care for them didn't show up for days. Across the country in New York, a glimmer of hope on its darkest day. The curve is flattening, but the death toll's still soaring.
Highest single-day death toll yet, 779 people.
People infected weeks ago before social distancing.
We have to beat it back, not open the door again too early.
New models project fewer Americans will die from coronavirus than some of the bleakest estimates.
We're hopefully heading toward a final stretch, the light at the end of the tunnel.
The president blaming the World Health Organization for a slow start. Today, it fired back.
If you don't want many more body bags, then you refrain from politicizing it.
This virus has impacted every facet of American life, including the election. The November poll expected to be a referendum on Donald Trump's handling of this crisis. Today, it became a two-horse race.
I cannot, in good conscience, continue to mount a campaign that cannot win and which would interfere with the important work required of all of us in this difficult hour.
Bernie Sanders paving the way for Joe Biden's nomination.
Standing united, we will go forward to defeat Donald Trump.
The former vice president welcoming Sanders supporters, the current president tempting them too.
And I got a lot of them in the last election that surprised people, but it didn't surprise me.
In New York, Ashley Mullaney, 7 News.
Virgin Australia has announced it's suspending almost all its domestic flights. The only exception will be a single Sydney to Melbourne return service, which will run once a day except for Saturdays. The airline says the decision was made to reflect the drop in demand due to the virus. Time now for a check on our weather with David Brown.
Thanks very much, Fergo. Well, it's been a much better day than forecast. No rain, but well, cloudy for a good part of it, and it's been cool as well. In fact, we've had low 20s right across the metro area this afternoon. The city recorded a maximum of 22.2 degrees. As we go to the radar, you'll notice it's clear across the Sydney Basin, although we've got some rain affecting the ranges. As we go further west, we've even got some thunderstorms rumbling across the interior. Had some good totals today. The trough that's driving the wet weather is gradually heading towards the coastal fringe. So we should start to see some showers and maybe the odd thunderstorm tomorrow, especially over the Blue Mountains. And of course, I'll have the Easter break weather in detail, top of the hour, Fergo.
See you then, David. Thank you. Working parents have been given a new lifeline by the state government, free preschool for the next 6 months. Details next. Plus a dramatic raid, greenhouses filled with cannabis, how police caught the suspects. Later, insurance during the pandemic, are you entitled to get cash back? An Easter egg hunt for some big zoo favourites. And soon in sport, the inspiring story of the former Test cricketer and his battle with cancer.
7 News, brought to you by Industry Superfunds.
There's only one thing to look for. Choose a super fund with this symbol.
We're all in this together.
Easter is upon us, and boy, it's certainly going to be a different way to celebrate Easter than we're used to.
Make sure you spread the love. Spread heaps and heaps of love.
But whatever you do, make sure you keep the Easter eggs to yourself.
Share the Easter spirit,
but don't share my chocolates.
Remember, we're going to get through this.
We are all in this together.
You are not in this alone.
Take good care of yourselves.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Shut up and take my money.
I'm losing it.
Oh my God!
Ornamental side pipes. Incredibly shiny rims. Glitter-dusted grille and wood sculpture. You'll find none of this on the new Skoda Kodiaq RS. With a bi-turbocharged engine that packs a serious punch, this is performance that's not for show. Skoda, simply clever.
Since Dyson invented this cordless vacuum format, they've improved it relentlessly. Now, they've gone big. Its cleaner head is 25% wider for faster deep cleaning and dynamic load sensing technology that intelligently adapts to different floor types to optimize power and runtime. Plus a bin that's 150% larger, so you can clean more before emptying. Only a Dyson works like a Dyson.
At Harvey Norman, our spacious stores are open this Easter, with our team practicing social distancing to keep our community safe. Shop for fridges, freezers, washers, air purifiers, laptops, Wi-Fi, headphones, home office accessories, mattresses and sofa beds. Until Easter Monday only, take advantage of 60 months interest-free and receive a bonus gift card. Visit us in-store or shop online from home, with both click and collect and delivery available at Harvey Norman. Wishing you all a happy and safe Easter.
Right now at Target, get 20% off toys from these big brands like Lego, Nerf, Barbie, Fisher-Price and more. Now on at Target. Offer ends April 26 in selected stores and online. Conditions apply.
Introducing Voltaren Osteo Gel 12
Government pledging more than $130 million to ensure
financial to our
White House and Pentagon employee handed over 22 hours of audio tapes, a short work of the eggs, throwing them in the air with their trunks. Pharmacy staff on the pandemic front line are being targeted by aggressive customers.
They thought,
follow me,
the biggest challenge.
To the side, and then we can finish making our cake batter. Just want to keep an eye on your syrup that's on the stove. So the butter, brown sugar and golden syrup is just melting on it over a low heat. Bring it back over and let it sit for a moment. In this bowl I've got some flour, just plain flour, and then I've got an array of spices. I've got some bicarb and baking powder that goes in. Some ginger, just dried ginger, 2 dessert spoons of that. And then a mixture of spices, so cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice and a little bit of coriander. Pop that in. And then in this bowl I've just got some milk, just whole milk, about 250 mils, and then 2 eggs. And then it's just a case of mixing the 3 components together. Cold first, and then the hot ingredients. And then popping it on top of our cake. And then I've preheated the oven to 170. And I'm going to pop it in for about 18 to 20 minutes. Alrighty, timer's gone off. I've stretched it out to about 22 minutes and we're going to have a look and see if the cake's ready. Looks pretty good, so we're just looking for a light spring when pressed on top and not a wobble at all, and see it's got a nice dark colour, so that's ready to go. I'm just going to let that cool down, pop it onto the tray and we can sprinkle it with a little bit of icing sugar. Alrighty, let's have a piece. If you didn't have mascarpone or cream, you can just use yogurt, it's just as good. There we go. Yum.
Release the beast, beautiful lion, Justin Bieber.
Rebel Wilson's Pooch Perfect, tonight on 7.
Welcome back. Often people go to the chemist to try to lower their blood pressure, but this pandemic is having the opposite effect. Pharmacists are being verbally and physically assaulted by over-anxious customers, forcing many to erect safety screens.
The new frontline, pharmacies with customers dispensing violence. This man threatening staff with a knife.
This behaviour just can't be tolerated in pharmacy.
Here a customer abuses a pharmacist for refusing them Ventolin because they don't have asthma.
You're going to get a phone call, love. You're going to get a phone call, love. And you can tell them you're intolerant. You're intolerant for the
2 female pharmacists in New South Wales and Victoria have been punched in the face. Many are being attacked daily.
People are more frustrated and stressed, and that is sort of sometimes boiling over into abusive behaviour.
Staff are trying to stop people hoarding products like tissues and sanitiser. Others are furious flu vaccines or their brand of medicine has run out.
We need them to have additional security. We need coordination of staff for the cleaning of those pharmacists.
In addition to copping abuse, pharmacy staff are on the front line, coming into contact with sick people while the rest of us shelter in safety. They say they need more personal protective equipment to stay on duty.
Requirement of all the staff here to wear either a helmet or a mask and glasses, because it's very important to cover your eyes. The virus can enter through the eyes.
Pharmacists are asking customers to take a dose of patience.
Un-Australian. We've been here right from the beginning and we'll be here right to the end.
Brian Seymour, 7 News.
A woman involved in a violent home invasion which left 2 people with stab wounds will be released from jail next month. She'll have served less than 2 years over the attack, triggered, she claims, because she wanted to get her clothes back from her former housemates.
Detectives arrested Kristen Moriarty on a rural Bringelly road in 2018, nabbed red-handed near her crashed getaway car after it was shot at by her former landlord, Vince Datillo.
I went like that, bang, shot the driver.
Moriarty claims she went back to her old home with a friend, Rebels bikie associate Scott Kieran, to get her clothes back from her former housemates after she was evicted weeks earlier.
I never go for a new place.
But the judge said she had violence on her mind. The then 28-year-old was wearing a balaclava and armed with 2 knives she'd just bought from Penrith Kmart.
Well, where did they stab you? Yeah, there, and back here.
3 times?
3 times, 23 operations. 2 months in hospital.
Kieran has been jailed for at least 4.5 years for stabbing Vince Datillo and another person. Mr Datillo says he forgives Kieran and Moriarty.
Always will look after him. Always have and always will.
The judge accepted this was out of character for Moriarty, noting she'd written a letter of remorse. She jailed her for a period of 18 months on parole, but with time served, she'll be out of jail on the 14th of May. Evan Batten, 7 News.
Cardinal George Pell is back in Sydney following his release from a Victorian prison, arriving last night at the Seminary of the Good Shepherd at Homebush after a 12-hour drive from Melbourne. It's unclear whether the 78-year-old former Sydney Archbishop intends to stay there permanently. We have an important update now on Ollie the schoolboy, who had one very important question for the Premier. Is the Easter Bunny still coming to visit? The answer, absolutely, and today there were more reassurances that celebrations are just a hop, skip and jump away.
Like most young children, Ollie Fisher looks forward to this time of year, especially a visit from his favourite bunny. But with most Easter festivities cancelled due to social distancing, it's caused some angst.
The Easter Bunny is very special. Also, it's my birthday on Easter Sunday.
The 7-year-old, who has autism, wrote to the Premier asking if social distancing means the Easter Bunny is not allowed to come.
I can leave hand wash out for him if you say he's allowed.
Today, Ollie received a call from Gladys Berejiklian.
You asked me a question so many others wanted to know about.
Assuring him there was an exemption for his special chocolate delivery.
It made all the other boys and girls who are worried not feel so worried.
Whilst the coronavirus can be spread through other animals, I understand it doesn't through rabbits, so everybody is safe.
The Police Commissioner also giving his word.
Easter Bunny will travel safely in New South Wales.
Huge relief for Ollie.
His face dropped. He was so excited. It sort of brought a little bit of light and happiness in amidst all of the chaos and confusion.
I'm going to wake up Mum very early.
So don't forget to leave a carrot and some water out. Jessica Ridley, 7 News.
This is a difficult time for all of us, but much tougher for some. Next, how cancer patients are being helped during the crisis. Plus, going nowhere, transport use hits a 100-year low as commuters clear out. How Aussies are splashing their cash from the government.
Cool and cloudy today, Easter weather soon.
Rack of lamb, the Aussie favourite, reinvented. Fast Ed's simple secret to add massive flavour.
Really, really straightforward.
And with the nation spending more time in the backyard, we've got easy ways to make it the coolest place to hang out. New Better Homes, Friday.
Here at Set for Life, celebrating winners is a full-time job. Because our Division 1 winners don't just win once.
Yes, Gary!
They win $20,000 every month for 20 years.
Carol? Yep, It's 20K day!
Congratulations, you've won!
Breathe!
It keeps us pretty busy. Set for Life, it's 20K on replay.
Play now in-store at thelot.com or on the Lot app.
We know you've always worked hard for your money. In these uncertain economic times, who do you trust to protect your wealth? Invest with La Trobe Financial, Australia's multi-award winning wealth manager and leading credit specialist. Trusted by Australians for more than 60 years.
Everyone knows Volkswagen drivers expect a little more. And with per-week pricing, why wouldn't they? Volkswagen.
Because sometimes it's more than just growing pains. Bupa offers an online program to help you manage your mental well-being. Bupa, because life happens. Call today.
This Easter, enjoy classic Ferrero Rocher. And now with fragrant hazelnuts and delicious chocolate, a unique specialty is created. Introducing the Ferrero Rocher Golden Squirrel. Unwrap Easter with Ferrero Rocher.
This is like nothing we have ever faced.
We are going to be tested, but we all need to play our part. Stay calm, don't panic, be patient, look out for each other.
And most importantly, listen to the experts.
Stay inside, wash your hands, practice social distancing. Don't impact my ability
To save a life. It might be yours that I'm trying to save.
Stay at home.
And every day,
We will come to work for you.
please help us.
Let's flatten that curve.
Checking finance now, and the ASX 200 ended on a 4-week high, up almost 3.5%. The banks gained ground. Qantas shares also rose, up 9.5%. And on the currency market, one Aussie dollar is buying just over 62 US cents. At the servo, there's still cheap unleaded around. It's been selling for just over 85 cents a litre in Villawood. On average, unleaded is going for just under $1.08 a litre across the city. New data suggests the first round of stimulus is working. We are spending, but maybe not where the government would have hoped. In the last week, spending on online gambling shot up 67%. We're spending an extra 64% on home improvement materials, 63% on food delivery. There are obvious areas missing out. In 1 week, spending on gyms and fitness plummeted by 95%. Travel and public transport down 78%. Backing that up, the train network has hit a 100-year low, with the COVID-19 lockdown leaving a fleet of ghost trains and buses. Opal data shows there were 51 million fewer trips on the Sydney Transport Network last month, almost 80% lower than the same time last year. There are no plans to cut back on services. The message has been clear: stay at home, but for those undergoing cancer treatment, it's life or death. Doctors are now delivering fewer and larger doses of radiation therapy to reduce their risk of infection.
With the medical world racing to find a vaccine for COVID-19, Australian doctors are working on their own remedy, easing pressure off our hospital system and keeping cancer patients safe.
Really important that we've adopted strategies that keep caring for patients.
A new therapy treatment plan delivering a higher dose of radiation, resulting in fewer appointments and less time in hospital.
You have an amazing team of professionals around you that you can ask questions to, that will give you practical advice.
Figures show 20,000 women were diagnosed with breast cancer in Australia last year. They accounted for 14% of all new cancer cases. That's 53 new cases a day. With so much uncertainty surrounding the pandemic, just imagine battling a life-threatening disease such as brain cancer.
It just brings a new level of fear and anxiety.
But treatments are still available, so are the support networks.
Sometimes just being able to reach out and talk to people in a similar situation can help people to not feel quite as alone.
Australian doctors are working with their Spanish counterparts, and that's because Spain is 2 weeks ahead of us when it comes to learning from COVID-19 and adapting to the situation.
Stay strong, Take care of yourself.
Leonie Ryan, 7 News.
With thousands of families now working from home, does it affect your insurance? One mum found the answers with advice on saving from contents to the car if you're now stuck at home. Don't miss those details soon on 7 News. But now Mel is here with Sport, and Mel, the NRL has made the call to restart the season.
They have, Fergo. They say they'll be good to go late next month, all going to plan. We'll recap the details next in Sport. Plus, some positive news for a badly injured former Roosters and Panthers star from his hospital bed in the UK. And we check in on one of the real good guys of Australian sport who's in the fight of his life.
The Widowmaker.
They thought,
follow me,
the biggest challenge they'd ever faced was finished.
There's no door.
But behind this wall is the biggest surprise of their lives. TV's most inspiring reveals.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
House Rules, next on 7.
Reason. From the moment we're born, we're conditioned to find it. Why does it feel good to dance? Why are we drawn to the water? We're consumed by a need for explanation. But some things just defy rational sense. When you move beyond what's known and into what's felt, you don't need a reason.
Saturday, April 11 is the Star Championships Day 2, where the best of the best descend on Royal Randwick, with 4 Group 1s headlined by the Queen Elizabeth Stakes. Check your Tab app for specials and promotions like the $20,000 Tab Tipping Champion and the $1 million projected quaddie pool. Plus, catch every race live with Sky Racing Vision. This Saturday, Tab has you covered. Tab, long may we play.
Know when to stop, don't go over the top, gamble responsibly.
At GIO, we know that when it comes to insurance, everyone loves to save. And now you can receive 12 months free roadside assistance when you take out a new GIO comprehensive car insurance policy. Oh dear, well, that's not good. Ah, that's better. 12 months free roadside assistance. It's just one of the many ways you can save with GIO. Call 13 10 10 today. You know with GIO.
Come and see. Our finest Lindt chocolate is ready for Easter in a very special shape. You can recognise even with your eyes closed.
Because of the bell.
The Lindt Gold Bunny is back in store, but you'll have to be quick to catch him. Millions of people only use realestate.com.au when searching to buy their home. Join the very happy sellers who advertise on the #1 address in property, realestate.com.au.
Welcome back. Well, as we reported earlier, Thursday, May 28 is the proposed date for the resumption of the NRL season. After a marathon 4-hour meeting, Commission member Wayne Pearce confirmed the date this afternoon. Player safety remains the paramount concern.
They'll be safer at the venues than they will be at home. And look, they'll self-isolate themselves, and if they continue to abide by all the measures that the government's put in place, there shouldn't be any problem.
The structure of the competition will be decided in coming weeks. Former Roosters and Panthers forward Mossy Masoi is making real progress in his recovery from a serious spinal injury suffered in the Super League in January.
I've started to walk with crutches. I've got my own walking frame, so I walk around and from around my bed, you know, just with a frame. And like the physios have been awesome.
Yeah, Masoi was initially told he had to leave the spinal unit of his Wakefield hospital to free up space for COVID-19 patients, but that decision has since been reversed. Former Test cricketer Gavin Robertson has opened up about his battle with brain cancer almost a year after emergency surgery. The 53-year-old says the love of his family and a change of lifestyle are keeping him upbeat as he continues treatment.
He's one of the most likeable people you'll ever meet. And a cancer diagnosis 12 months ago forced Gavin Robertson to rethink his approach to life.
Go day by day, put that into a week and aim for a month. You know, I know it sounds really simplistic, but that's really how it is, Jimmy.
He's undergone radiation and chemotherapy since emergency surgery last May to remove the tumour. And now an MRI scan every 8 weeks is required, plus a change in lifestyle and diet.
I've literally changed from a bloke that loved a chicken parmigiana, so I'm just a vegan now. I'm pretty keen on the alkaline water, to be honest, Jimmy, so look, I do keep things really simple.
The former Test spin bowler is working a couple of days a week at radio station 2SM, and he leans on those closest to him, wife Kathy and best mate Steve Waugh, whose wife Lynette underwent brain surgery in 2006.
Lynette really talked about the shock of it happening. You're in for an operation and then you're in hopeful recovery. And then it's about, you know, how can I be positive? What's the first thing the doctor wants me to do and how can I do that well?
Despite the cancer shock, Robertson remains optimistic about the future.
I'm 54 in a month. I'd really love to get to 88. That'd be awesome. That's really what I'm aiming. I don't need 100, but I'm happy with 88, to be honest, Jimmy.
Jim Wilson, 7 News.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, for Aussie golfer Mark Leishman, this health crisis hits very close to home. He's supposed to be walking Augusta National's hallowed fairways, preparing for the Masters, but fully understands why the lockdown is in place. Wife Audrey nearly died of a similar lung condition to COVID-19 back in 2015.
We know how bad that can be. She was lucky enough to survive it. I guess it's been pretty tough for her, but you know we're making the best of it and trying not to get it.
The Masters will now be played in November. Sydney jockey Tim Clark is eyeing the biggest win of his career on day 2 of the championships at Randwick. Clark will ride the Hawks-trained Master of Wine in the $2 million Longines Queen Elizabeth Stakes.
He's got a bit of an X factor about him. He's returning awesome form this time in. A step up for him. He's taking on the big boys and girls.
The Queen Elizabeth is one of 4 Group 1 races on the card. Our live and free coverage begins at 11:30am on Saturday. Supercars champion Scott McLaughlin is clearly just as impressive in the simulator as he is on the racetrack. In a dramatic opening round of the Supercars E-Series, spectacular crashes were the norm as drivers got used to racing from their living rooms. Fresh from winning a virtual IndyCar race, McLaughlin took out 2 of the 3 races. The Kiwi sprayed champagne off his home balcony, there it is, to celebrate. Pretty clever improvisation there, Fergo. He's done well in isolation.
No wasting champagne in lockdown, though. That's against the rules.
No, just a little bit and then you can drink the rest.
All right. OK, Mel. Thank you. With millions of Australians now working from home, there are many more watchful eyes over our homes and their contents. It's prompting customers to ask if they should be getting a better deal for insurance on their bricks and mortar and what they keep in the garage.
Mum Kelly Smith has had to swap studying childhood education for the real thing, minding her kids during the pandemic. Now at home full-time, Kelly wondered if she should be paying her insurer less.
They should be decreasing the prices now that we're at home and it's a lot safer.
Makes sense, but unfortunately...
Working from home shouldn't affect your home and contents policy.
Your policy shouldn't be affected, but check your work equipment is covered and tell your insurer if you have friends or family staying, or if you're stuck in quarantine. There are still savings to be made. Just ask cleaner Melina Graham.
Working from home and same property, same area, nothing has really changed except changing providers at this time of the year. I saved $350.
A comparison of 10 home and contents insurers saw Budget Direct coming out on top with an annual premium of just over $1,000. ING and NRMA were similarly priced. QBE was the most expensive at more than $1,500.
With many household budgets under pressure and many of our habits changing, now's the time to look for savings across all your policies.
We're all using our cars very differently now. They're garaged, we're driving a lot less. So now is the time to compare and see if there are savings out there for you.
Whether it's car or home, it pays to be COVID covered. Gemma Acton, 7 News.
David is back now. Brandy, what's in store for Easter?
Fine weather window is opening up, Fergo. Details straight after the break.
Tonight on the latest from 7 News, the hope we've been waiting for from Australia's Nobel Prize-winning immunologist, his take on our fight against COVID-19.
Plus, roadblocks right around the country, but fish markets are still open for business. Your full guide to an Easter like no other.
That is tonight on the latest from 7 News.
They thought, follow me, the biggest challenge they'd ever faced was finished.
There's no door.
But behind this wall is the biggest surprise of their lives. House Rules, next on 7.
No firing the baby around the house.
Whether you're watching with family, with friends...
Everyone calm down, we're here.
...or just home alone. There's a bit of Disney Plus in all of us.
At Harvey Norman, our spacious stores are open this Easter, with our team practicing social distancing to keep our community safe. Shop for fridges, freezers, washers, air purifiers, laptops, Wi-Fi, headphones, home office accessories, mattresses and sofa beds. Until Easter Monday only, take advantage of 60 months interest-free and receive a bonus gift card. Visit us in-store or shop online from home, with both click and collect and delivery available at Harvey Norman. Wishing you all a happy and safe Easter.
Go!
Get Vodafone NBN with 4G backup. Plans start from just $65 a month. And with free express delivery, connect instantly once you receive it. Buy online today at vodafone.com.au. Ready?
I can. We will. Idol. Lancôme.
This Easter, enjoy Ferrero Rocher, a whole hazelnut, creamy chocolate, crisp wafer and roasted hazelnut pieces. Unwrap Easter with Ferrero Rocher.
There's something extraordinary happening on King Island. Some say it's the sea air, while others say it's the unusually rich milk. It's never more than 2 hours from farm to dairy, or that it's crafted by hand. But if you ask a King Islander, they'll tell you, it's the people that make the cheese so special. King Island Dairy. No ordinary island, no ordinary cheese.
So, do you hummus? Perhaps you spread the hummus.
With Obella's smooth, creamy hummus, you can taste the difference. Whether you snack it, spread it, or dip it, new hummus with Obella, of course.
JB's got the hottest deals to keep you connected. Like $200 off the latest Samsung Galaxy S25G phone. This Acer 3 laptop for $11.99. And 40% off Sony headphones. Buy in-store, online, click and collect, or get it delivered. JB, you've done it again.
Home and Away will be taking a short break, but you can still catch up with the Bay on 7+, thanks to Subaru. Streaming now, all for free.
The Good Friday service, the historic broadcast from St Mary's Cathedral. 7 News takes you there. Tomorrow from 3 p.m.
Tonight, 7 News headlines. Rugby League bosses have blown the whistle on the virus break, announcing the NRL season will resume on May the 28th. Arts Minister Don Harwin has escaped a fine after being caught at his holiday house on the Central Coast during the lockdown. Police have boarded the Ruby Princess, gathering evidence as part of their criminal investigation. And a young boy has received confirmation the Easter Bunny is allowed to visit this long weekend. Now with the latest on Sydney's weather, here's David.
Thanks very much, Fergo. Well, it's cool and cloudy today. That's what's been happening. We're expecting wet weather tomorrow. And today's top, well, that was close to average for this time of year. In fact, the maximum there was 22.2 degrees. Now, as we have a look around the suburban area, there we go. There's a little bit of a technical issue there. You'll notice most temperatures around the low 20s today. That was the maximums. And rainfall, very, very light. In fact, the showers were few and far between. Different story as we head west now from our satellite. We're flying in towards the trough that's driving some showers and thunderstorms. The patchy rain and storm activity associated with this is gradually heading towards the coastal fringe. You'll notice as we run through the forecast chart for tomorrow, that wet weather being pushed along by that active trough as it surges towards the Tasman Sea. Now, in the longer term, A lengthy spell of stable sunny weather is on the way. It all starts during the early part of Saturday and persisting well and truly into the middle of next week. So the Easter break overall is looking sensational. Interstate tomorrow, Melbourne, stunning conditions for this time of year. Light winds and plenty of sunshine at around 23 degrees. As we have a look at Brisbane, some showers are on the way at around 27. A hot day again is expected through southern parts of WA. Have a look at Perth. Forecast maximum of 36 degrees. For us, we're now tracking areas of rain and some thunderstorm activity just gradually contracting to the coast as the day wears on. Good falls are likely along the western plains and the western slopes of the Great Dividing Range. Isolated thunderstorms, of course, are in the mix, potentially 30 or more millimetres from those storms as they move through. In fact, we might even see a thunderstorm impact parts of our backyard tomorrow. I think high probability about the Blue Mountains, might see one on the hills, but temperatures generally around the low 20s. Coastal waters, northerly winds around 10 to 15 knots. For the city, yes, around 22 degrees with some passing showers. As for the next 7 days, it's looking good. In fact, it'll be fine and generally sunny conditions all the way through from Saturday right through until the middle of next week. That's the latest weather, Fergo.
Brandy, thank you. That is 7 News for this Thursday. We'll have updates for you throughout the evening and the latest at 10 o'clock. I'm Mark Ferguson from all the team. I hope you have a very happy Easter.
Previously on House Rules High Stakes.